backwards that actually it looks like it's going forwards. And people think that, and I saw this on bumper sticker once, and it made perfect sense to me. It said, just because you have rights doesn't mean you have special rights. And that's one of the truest statements I've ever come across in my whole life. And I think that goes for any religious, I guess, what your thoughts are on sexuality, everything else, and how you should live your life. Uh, and it's truly
On its
amazing.
way to drop
But
off.
back to this Charles Manson thing. Um, when he was still alive, I did contact the prison, and of course, no one believes what I have done. They just people cannot grasp this. And in fact, I had a judge say this in a courtroom, if you can believe this, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Mr. Hughes, I really don't like to be called Mr. because that's a military term. I'm not in the military. I don't believe in the military. Um, you are over my head. In other words, and if I can have a conversation about law with any law enforcement officer, any highway patrolman, or any bailiff, and I'll get the same response within 5 minutes. They can't comprehend what I'm doing. So, what I have said, and I provided proof. I think I have come up with a way to collapse every system there is. I don't care if it's the prison system, the so-called government, the IRS. And for people that don't know this, about 5 years ago, I told the IRS to blow me. So I said, blow me. And then I have sued the Franchise Tax Board, which is more evil than the IRS. And of course, that's how they collect the taxes here in California, and also child support. But people don't know, if you're stuck in child support, basically the federal government also supports and pays for uh, the collection of child support. I do have a friend that was raided one night by the FBI over child support, and I won't mention his name, but if he's listening, maybe he'll find it funny, maybe not. But yeah, the FBI raided him at between 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning over child support. So that's how bizarre it is. Um, I have an acquaintance now. I want to call a friend that is in trouble now over a divorce, and the woman went to court and stated that this guy did this and this over the last couple of years, and I think he's made a lot of money, but he's hidden it. I haven't seen it, and this woman got $500 alimony tacked on per month now, just because of what she said. So it is beyond bizarre. But anyone out there in California that is fighting a traffic ticket and or criminal charges or whatever, uh, if they're charging you under the people of the state of California, I own that entity. I own it. I have proof of it. In fact, Friday, I'm going around 12 o'clock. I'm going to the grand jury in San Bernardino, which is across from the courthouse. It's on, I think, 4th and Arrowhead. I've been there a couple of times before. And basically, I'm going to tell them no one is to ever use that again, and I will sue the grand jury. I'm also going to get paperwork from them. I'm going to present my own case to the grand jury on Monday. Um, Now, as far as how this relates to flat Earth, I think it's pretty evident that I have a disdain for Mark Sargent, if that is his real name, or that's even the real Mark Sargent. A lot of people in the past have come up with that this guy is Ralph Joseph Real, and it winds up this guy is 51 years old, the same age as Mark Sargent. Now, what we've done, we started doing yesterday, we've taken Mark Sargent's birthday and we are plugging it in to these colleges, how you research people's college history. And Ralph Joseph Real has claimed he graduated in 1992 from University of California, San Diego, and it actually goes by UCSD, if you want to look it up. So now we're plugging that in. And also Dennis Luca, who is another.
Okay, if you're just joining, I'm listening in at Flat Earth Radio or FERlive.com. This is Mad Mike Hughes, and he's broadcasting from Cafe 24/7 at Lucerne Valley. And I'm going to call in about 5 minutes. But let me go ahead and hit play. Again, ferlive.com. If you're listening to this live stream, you'll be able to just continue listening. There won't be a break in continuity here. So let's go ahead and hit play and see where he's at.
And we had a conversation about Metatron. And I gave him information because if you look on Metatron's site from a press release in 2014 about the new officers, there is 2 people listed that has been in trouble with the SEC before. I believe it's Joseph Muse, Muese, and Peter Brannon, I believe is the gentleman's name. And those 2 people have had trouble with the SEC. And I informed the SEC, and I have filed a claim on their website that I believe the people that's acting as these people, as these officers at Metatron and at one time XRG, don't even exist. At least you can't find them before 1999, or that may be someone else. So that's just got started. So we're going to cover if there is a rat, which there's a bunch of them in Flat Earth, and a lot of them is connected with Truth Frequency Radio and Genesis Communications, and that includes Alex Jones, who I wish the guy would just go away. I mean, I've been tired of him for a long time. So basically, we've got that going on. Now, it looks like if there is a Ralph Joseph Real, his mother is in Southern California. We have the address, and we're going to have Ralph Real, whoever that is, served by the sheriff. And of course, if people doesn't know, I've had Mark Sargent served by the sheriff department in Washington at the condo he lives in with his mother. And now on January 3rd, which is this Friday, I've already filed a default judgment because Mark Sargent did not show up in court, which I knew he wouldn't, because I'm going to expose who this guy really is, or what he's not is, or who his acting is. And I will probably get a default judgment Friday. So I've mailed the information to the place where he lives. And I've also got another gentleman I have filed a default judgment on that comes up Friday also. And like I said, after that, I will go straight to the grand jury, which is across the street, and start my other processes. How do you even start with this? You know, Patricia, who I guess was brought in because Mark Sargent was so boring. And I'm not the first one to say this. She's went away. Now she's coming back. And if you look up a Francesca Fox, Vox, who's had the same address a couple of times, maybe that's her. Who knows? When I met her at the Denver conference, and we're sitting there talking, and she tells me that Ralph Real is a surfer dude with no money. I thought, that's when I said, no, this is bullshit. And I really wanted to walk away from her then. Okay, so anybody supporting these 2 people, you're either in denial, cognitive dissonance, or you're clueless, or you've got the IQ of Forrest Gump. I don't know. There's your 4 choices. I've had of these people. You know, what do you do? I mean, you've got one of the top documentaries of 2019. No one's talking about it in Flat Earth and some of these major channels. So, you know, I've had of these guys, but we'll see what comes up the next few days. But it'd be interesting what the SEC finds out, especially since those names are tied in with 2 other people that's been investigated for SEC fraud. And what I know about the SEC is literally nothing. I've never bought a stock in my life. I'm not interested in stocks. I'm not interested in anybody that makes money on money, which is, in other words, you're not producing a product. You're not producing anything but paperwork. So, and that's one of the downfalls of our society, I believe, right now. People making money on money and not producing anything for it. But other than that, I ran across an incredible video today. It was about Flat Earth. I wish I could think of the guy's name. It was brilliant what this guy came up with, how he thought the sun was shining through the firmament, and he described how this was happening, and it was ingenious. If that's the case, I have no idea. It made sense, but then again, a guy told me a long time ago, if it makes dollars, it makes sense. So who knows? But it's a brilliant video. It really was. I applaud the people that does the research on this stuff and not just because I'm telling you, I don't worry about what other people think, but a lot of people have families and their jobs and whatever, and it's a big step to admit that. So the people that has done that step down, I applaud you because it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But then again, you can say the same thing about maybe 9/11, Kennedy, or some other things that's happened to us over the years. Um, so I applaud anybody that's done that because it is it's not an easy thing to do. Especially if you've got a lot of people that you answer to, um, or pulls your strings. And there's been people lose their jobs over stuff like this. So anyway, we're waiting for IPS to call in. I think he's supposed to call in just about any time. Um,
Okay, so I'm going to call in now.
and
Let
then
me go ahead
we've
and.
got people can actually call in this week. The number is 614-362-0194. Holy moly. Um, let's see here.
Okay, I'm going to call in now. Okay, I'm calling into Mike's live stream right now. And
If you want to talk about the rocket, that's fine too.
hey, what's up, Mike? Nope, hold on. Having a little bit of a not getting through. I'll try one more time here. All right, just one more time. So if you're here just joining, we're listening in on ferlive.com. That's Mad Mike Hughes is live right now. I have a list of questions for him, things I wanted to bring up. So I'm going to give him a call again here. He just gave me the call-in number. It's a new number, and apparently they can take calls from other phones. Anyone can call in 614.
Second here. Continue
Okay,
on.
I think
Yeah, I hear you
IPS actually
perfect.
try to call in also, but because this number comes up as a blocked number. But anyway,
Okay, here we go.
I have some other. Oh, did it come through?
Yep. Hello?
Hello.
Hello there, honey. Can you hear
Hello?
me? You can't hear me? Uh-oh. Okay, we'll keep trying. It's still ringing.
Yeah.
Okay, we've lost something.
Okay, here we go. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
Great, great. What do you want to talk about, hon?
I have a question. I have two questions.
It's okay.
All right. The first one is how did you get the name Mad Mike?
Oh God, I would have never done it on purpose. Believe me. We were standing in the middle of a friend of mine's shop in Las Vegas, and there was the gentleman that owned it, GT Tallis, who you look him up. He raced NASCAR, and one of his friends. We were getting ready to try to put together. I was going to jump a limousine from one building up to another in Las Vegas, and this guy said, "You must be mad, so we'll call you Mad Mike." I thought, well, whatever. So that's where it started. That was 2005. So that's where the nickname came from. I would have never came up with that.
Okay. The second question is how did you get from being a limo driver to doing rocket ships?
Uh, you know, this is a really a funny story about the limousine drivers. Is I was working for a NASCAR team in Las Vegas, and we was at a truck race. In fact, I was working on GT Tallis's race truck, and we didn't qualify that weekend. And I had worked and worked and worked, and then we didn't even qualify for the race. So I was burnt out again the next day on NASCAR, and I thought, well, what can I do? How can I get paid to sleep and drink and just slough off and go to strip clubs? And I thought that sounds like a Las Vegas limo driver. And the very next day, I had a job doing that. So that was in 1996, and that's how that started. But as far as the rockets, my background is NASCAR. My background is fabrication and aerodynamics, and I've got the gumption to take what I've learned and put it to something else that I can relate that knowledge to, and that's how it happened. But I wanted to do something that would put me above the rest of the daredevils, all the freestyle motocrossers, above everybody, and yeah, I think I accomplished that. How's that?
Okay, thank you for answering the
Thanks,
question.
sweetie. Yeah, you're welcome, honey.
Didn't give him your name.
And my name is Barb.
Oh, Bob. Yeah, thank you, honey.
Good luck on your next launch.
Anybody else calling in?
Okay, I'm going to call in again.
Not yet, but I'll keep check on it and I'll let you know.
Okay, I'm not getting through for some reason, so I don't want to take up too much of his time. Hopefully he has another caller.
We had a caller.
So is he
Okay.
patched in?
Yes, he tried to call in. IPS, if you try one more time, please.
Okay. Yeah, because we had a couple of things to talk about. It's pretty interesting. So until he calls back.
Okay, here we go. I see what they're doing.
That's not a word. It's Metatron, which is the one that actually had.
All right, here we go. But I'm glad he can take calls now. That's what we've been waiting for. Hey, I'm reading the comments too, so if any of you in the comments have any questions for Mike, now would be the time. Apologize for the ringing. I'm also drawing attention to this all day. If you look at the screen, there's a mouse in space. Okay, we'll go ahead and try again in just a moment.
The Flat Earth Conference. We're actually a couple of things. I wanted to find out who the moles were, because every movement has a mole. This Flat Earth has a lot of them. And I wanted to find out who they were, or at least get a good start on them. And then I thought, I was pissed because I wasn't invited initially. And this is after I made all this news and all the stuff. We had a contract working for the TV show, and we had to bully our way into the thing. So this should be.
Welcome to Flat Earth Radio. Please press 1 to reach our home office or press 2 to be on live radio.
I will press 2. Okay, I should be patching in.
Welcome to Flat Earth Radio. Please wait until someone is ready to assist you.
Oh God, oh God. God, no. I'm not going to sit there with that hold music. Okay, Pippi, I'll ask him that. How did he spend New Year's?
Yes, twice, but for some reason the call keeps dropping. Maybe you could call him on your cell phone to kind of expedite.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Can I listen to him on these?
What happens is when someone else tries to call in, I think we might have two different people trying to call in at the same time. Jostle. But like I said.
All right, I'm through now. Hey, Mike.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, same thing we did the last couple of weeks. I'm sorry. They had one call come in, and I guess the system's not worked out yet. So, you and I have talked several times. during the last week, and I told the audience that we're going to be using Mark Sargent's birthday to start investigating the college backgrounds of some people from Metatron or XRG or whatever, and we've come up across a couple of interesting facts this week, haven't we?
Well, yeah, that was an interesting bit you turned up, and we had a list of things. The first thing I think you mentioned last week, and this is something that a number of people brought up to me. There's this video that's been viral about it has to do with like rockets hitting the dome. I don't know if you've seen it. Do you know which video I'm talking about? Okay, so a lot of people within the flat Earth community still say that rockets hit the dome, and deep inside the rabbit hole, the guy who was on Alex Jones actually said there's a video where a rocket hits a dome. What would you say to people who still push that line that this happens?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So, no, that rocket did not hit the dome, and I'll say the same thing I said last week. I know the gentleman that owns that rocket. I know the gentleman that built the propulsion system for it. The gentleman that built the propulsion system lives in Phoenix. The guy that owns the rocket lives in Bloomington, Minnesota. And I know both of them. And so, no, it did not hit the dome. So anybody stating that, anybody using that for some proof or something is very misguided.
So what is happening then, just so they know, because they think that it's actually hitting the firmament or whatever, and it's falling back down. What would you say to these people who are using this as a proof?
What I believe it is the nose cone coming off from it and ejecting the parachute.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I figured there was a charge or something. I used to get these rocket kits as a kid. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. Yeah. And you are something of a subject matter expert, and the people who push this line are not. And when did you get into rockets? The last caller was asking about how you got into it, and I kind of missed that.
Well, I think maybe 12 years ago or something, when I first started, was going to, I wanted to jump to Snake River Canyon. I wanted to complete the Evel Knievel launch attempt in Snake River there in Twin Falls, Idaho. And that got to be such a criminal activity. And it got to the point where I wanted to sue everybody in the state and the city. It was just that criminal. For people that doesn't know this, the people that runs the land on the other side of the launch area, which is where the Knievel was supposed to land in 1974, the state owns that. In fact, at that time, several years ago, there was still nothing built there. It was still this vacant land like it was back in 1974. And they decided that they would put it up for bid. I was the only gentleman in the world that could make it happen on the 40th anniversary. In fact, I could have had it on the 39th, and they would not let me submit a permit for that. They said, no, we're going to wait till the 40th, and we're going to decide who gets the opportunity. And I thought, well, wait a second. This is the top guy at the city council of Twin Falls. I'm saying, dude, I'm the only guy in the world right now that can do this. Okay? And so basically, the state put it up for bid. A guy named Ed Beckley bid $900 and something thousand to land, just for the right to land there. He didn't even have a permit yet to take off from the other side, nor did he have a rocket, nor did he have a ramp. This is how stupid it got. This is how stupid it is to deal with these government officials. So I got to the point where I was so pissed off that, in fact, let me tell you how goofy it got. I spoke, and I had some of the top brass at ABC, their emails. Well, I'm just going to give the names. The guy that ran 2020 went to my launch site in Arizona once with his mother, and then a lady named Morgan Zalkin who ran Good Morning America. And we were talking to each other all the time, and they got to the point where they would not keep their end of the bargain. They would never admit to or submit to whatever they was actually going to do. And then I talked to one of the top guys at Fox Broadcasting one day, plus I think the other gentleman was the head of creative development. I can't remember his name. I said, guys, I need $300,000 to jump to Snake River, get all the permits, make it happen, stay there for a month. And they said, well, we just don't think there's really a market for it, or some kind of bullshit excuse. And within about, 2 years later, they were going to put $5 million in the project, and they pulled the plug on that. That's how stupid it gets.
Right. Well, this time you have, I think, more support than you have before. More people know of your mission now. There's no way of telling the exact number, but it's got to be in the, I don't know. I mean, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. It's a lot of people have seen. So,
Yeah.
for 2020, just to let everybody know, uh, what will happen? Best case scenario.
It is possible, and as you know, you've sit in on 2 or 3 phone calls already, that there is a group here in this country that wants to look for the sponsorship and sell the 3-hour live special. And right now we're waiting for Discovery Network in New York to decide if they're going to let them be associated with it. And that's what we're waiting on. And that will be kicked into full steam ahead. And hopefully we can reach the edge of space by, September, October of this year.
Well, I was talking to someone today on a live stream. He called in. This guy still believes in NASA. He has a NASA sweater. And I was like, look, we're not going to know. There's no point in fighting over it anymore. No point in debating because we're not going to know until someone goes high enough, and you're going to triple the height of Felix Baumgarten, or close to that, right? Maybe a little more.
Yeah, oh yeah, at least triple that, and they still claim that he went to the edge of space, which is pretty bizarre. But after they spent $10 to $26 million, I guess they got the right to say what they want to say.
Right. Okay. Now, so for anybody here who wants to support your mission, one, I'd recommend they go to realrocketman.com and watch your documentary so they can see what you've done, what you can do. But how do you want people to support you this year and get behind this space jump? Like, what's the best way to do it?
Oh wow! Actually, just keep up with the madmikehughes.com, and I think we dropped Skype again.
Okay, if the Skype dropped, that's fine. Just we're still live here. We have about 80 people here on D Live. Listen, and a few stragglers on YouTube still listening. A number of people are asking questions. Let's see.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry about this. I'm as low tech as you can get, which is pretty obvious. I suck at tech and paperwork. That's the 2 things that I am no good at.
Well, this is what I thought was an interesting contrast when you first called in, is here we have this Elon Musk, who is, I think, mostly just kind of only involved with his work secondhand. He's not actually turning any wrenches. And here you are building it in your garage. So we got a billionaire with a team versus a man in a garage with some close friends. And I think you couldn't have a better contest as far as like the actual space race goes. And you're going to be the first one to be at that height in a manned self-built rocket. Musk hasn't ridden any of his own rockets, right?
No. You can't expect Elon Musk to go out and work on a rocket. Well, I guess he could, but he's not going to. He's got so much other crap going on. At least he says he does. Who knows what actually the guy's doing? He may be smoking pot all day. Who the hell knows what that guy, is doing or what goes through his head every day?
I checked his Twitter account, and there's not a lot going in his head. I went to his Twitter account thinking to find, this is the smartest guy in the world, is going to save the planet, and he had memes with puppies and blueberries, just like childish memes. That's what he's about on Twitter. So to me, he's kind of like a pop star more than a scientist. So did you hear the Netflix shout out? Somebody wants to know. I guess you were mentioning.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. For people that doesn't know, Netflix, they didn't mention me by name, but they mentioned, I guess they made it pretty evident who they're talking about during a cartoon, on the Fast and Furious. Is that true?
Yeah, the cartoon, it's a kid's version of Fast and Furious, and there's a scene where the guy, I guess he works with BLM, yells out, "It's another flat earther," with one of his homemade rockets.
Yeah, that was kind of funny when I saw that. That is kind of funny. But, I just, the thing is with me, if I had just a couple of really key people around me that could spend like most of the day, and whatever, I think it'd be amazing what I could accomplish, or could accomplish, with everything. But man, it's just I say this every day. I'm just one guy, and it gets. If I was 30 years younger, I could probably put in more hours or whatever. But I get tired. Well, I used to not get tired.
Well, if anybody has watched your movie, they would see how much actual physical labor goes into it. I've never seen someone work so much in a documentary. It's all hands-on. And I heard you earlier before I called in, you were talking about, bringing down various aspects of the system. Did you hear this thing about 11,000 pardons in Illinois?
11,000? No, I did not.
Yeah, this was for marijuana. The Illinois governor pardoned 11,000 people for low-level marijuana convictions.
Well, that's annoying, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah, well, it just shows you how arbitrary these laws are. Where...
No, I was just saying the phone ring. Oh, okay, are we back up now? Okay. Dude, but we got to fix this, okay? So, so IPS, you still with us?
Oh, yeah, no, we're still good on my end. We still have...
Okay. Yeah, good deal. So, no, I did not hear... Well, excuse me. Maybe I did, but I didn't register what had happened. I guess he's getting in trouble for all the pardons.
I didn't fall that deep into it, but I just thought it was noteworthy here that, 11,000 people could be pardoned at once for something that I don't really consider to be a crime, which is having the wrong plant.
Yeah. Well, I have said this before, and I think and I believe that whatever you do inside your home, really, there's no way it can be regulated. Now, once it goes out, if you're sending pictures, if you're sending, instructions on how to blow up the world, then I think that changes the dynamics of that, okay? But if you're growing pot in your house or your backyard, or you're building yourself a shotgun in your house or your garage, to me, more power to you.
Yeah, that's an interesting question here. Is it actually legal to build a rocket in your garage? Is that considered to be like a weapon or a missile or a projectile?
Yeah, who knows? I've had a representative of the FAA in Riverside come to my house once. It's been years ago. Just, I think, out of curiosity. Yeah, it's interesting. I was told the other day that there is something in Vandenberg Air Force Base when they transport rockets, they are charged to transport the rockets. So I just learned about that the other day. I don't know if that's true, if it's false, how it applies to me. I don't know.
You're kind of a rogue space agency here. Hey, earlier I heard you mentioning rats in the flat Earth community. People who don't get behind you for whatever reason. Did you know 2020 in Chinese astrology is Year of the Rat?
No, I did not know that.
It's Year of the Rat, and check this out. This is going viral right now, and I kind of mentioned it earlier. So on the 5th of December, 2019, Elon Musk sent genetically modified mice into space to reach the space station. And last night a clip went viral because on one of the rocket engines, it's called the Merlin 1, you can actually see a mouse crawling across the engine, and this thing's supposed to be in space. As in, while it's flying. This has been one of the biggest blunders I think I've seen since we started looking at this SpaceX thing. And I'll have to show you the clip, but it's remarkable. It's a mouse climbing the SpaceX CRS-19 rocket.
Incredible. No, I see. The thing is, in the world we live in, you have to, and you run out of time. But you should research everything that you think is real or that you want to share. And I've been called a couple of times when after I've shared it, it looked like a real thing. Then I thought, well, wait a second. And someone contacts me and says, Michael, I don't think it is, but it's like that rumor going around that Disney had bought Pornhub. Well, one of my friends got a hold of me and says, Michael, I don't think that's true. But I said, wait a second. We don't know that because these shell corporations, you don't know what shell corporation is owned by these major corporations just to be involved with things like that. And I'll give you an example. There was several months ago, they had a big bust on a cargo ship full of cocaine. What wound up, this cargo ship was a subsidiary of a company that's a subsidiary of Chase Bank. So you don't know at the end of the road who actually owns what, and that's the reason for that also.
Well, we're looking at this thing, with this apparent mouse running across the engine as, to me, my theory is this. If they were already sending mice into space, then this could be one of the studio mice that just got caught up on the special effects floor or something. But it almost looks too good, like way too perfect, as though it could be sabotage, which I don't know. It's just speculation. We're not there. I don't know if Musk is even attending this thing. But, my opinion is that they're not actually going into space. Do you have anything conclusive on that as far as space travel? How far do you think they've actually gone?
Okay. It's like, I'm going to give an example, and this is how I look at things. And it's like, if you go to the edge of space, which they say is 62.8 miles, called the Kármán line. It's no secret now. So basically, where I live in Apple Valley, if I go down the hill, which is what they call the Cajon Pass, and almost get to San Bernardino, that's about 62 to 65 miles. So now you look, if you stand that up, okay, then you're going from Earth to space in just that short distance of time. Now, there is an interesting story, and I believe it is real. There's pictures to kind of back this up. Is there was a Russian astronaut, I guess the first one that went into orbit or went into space. I cannot justify which one that is. This guy, I guess something had went wrong during this flight. He knew it. They knew it. They rushed the flight. This guy came back to Earth and hit so hard. He hit like the force of a meteor. He hit that hard. And he was, I understand, talking to him on the way down, and he was cussing everybody because he knew what was going to happen. But he hit the ground so hard, it was like a meteor strike.
Well, I remember reading, I think it was one of the articles, they said that your last impact was at least 60 miles per hour or faster. How fast was it when you impacted on your last landing?
I don't know. There's not a... Of course, you wouldn't have a speedometer either, but you would have what's called an air, I call it an air trap, but it's where air goes into a pitot tube that measures the speed, the airspeed. I don't have one. It is, I've had some people look at the first launch, which is the one from 2014 in Arizona, and they believe in the research they did that I took a 20G hit in 2014.
Yes, that was the first one I saw. That launch, the video of it was you went not so vertical, is almost horizontal.
Yeah. And that wasn't a vertical launch. It was supposed to be I was supposed to jump a quarter mile, which is what I did. But when it left the ramp, something caught on the back of the rocket, which is one of my mistakes. One of the guides that guides up the ramp was too far back. And when it left, that's what it was a lever moment, is what they call it. So it cocked the thing up, and it gained 1G of speed, going horizontal with the ground. And then when I pulled the parachute, it was going too fast. And then, the video speaks for itself. But I actually was walking that off. I thought, I'm going to be able to walk away from this. And then 15 minutes later, I collapsed in my friend's motorhome and I don't move for 3 days.
Now, I remember you had pieces of that parachute which was shredded. Do you still have any parts of the parachute available if anybody wants to order one from you at your site?
Yeah, in fact, the last launch we've got pictures with part of the parachute, the silver one, the first one that came out. It's like for $10 and plus shipping. So yeah, we got all kinds of merchandise, T-shirts and whatever. But yeah, to have a picture of this thing coming down with a part of the parachute that you see in the picture, I think it's phenomenal. For $10, what do you want?
Okay, well, I'm putting it into the chat right now, and we've got about 90 people watching. I'm putting a link to madmikehughes.com, so anybody can go over there, hit you up on the contact form, and just request a signed part of the parachute or something or whatever else. and you can facilitate that.
Yeah, of course, we said last week that oh, sure. The number is 614-362-0196. That's a call-in number. And we can talk about anything.
I'm putting the number into chat right now, Mike, and so I'm going to go ahead and leave the line open for other people to call in. And
Okay.
I'm going to stay live, though. We'll be listening to ferlive.com on Infinite Plane Radio.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you.
All right, Mike, talk to you soon. Okay, I'm going to turn it on over here so someone else can call in.
Okay, folks, that was IPS, and he has his own. He's on Infinite Plane Radio, and he's one of the people that's been that's had several strikes on YouTube. I think his channel was taken down, several times this last year, and he's an interesting guy. I've learned a lot from him. He's a very high tech guy, but he's kind of. I think it's one thing that we share. We just want the raw truth on this movement, and people can have their own ideas. I mean, that's what this country was supposed to be about anyway. It's just that when people are put into a movement to disrupt it, which is what is happening and what has happened, just like it did with the 9/11 Truther movement, I kind of got a zero tolerance for that, and especially when they want to ignore or minimize what I've done. So. But anyway, the movie Rocket Man, you can still order it on Amazon Prime, and actually we've got DVDs for sale. Anyone that orders a DVD or anything through my website, I am not a verified seller. I do not have a bank account. I run everything through my Walmart Blue Card and through a debit card. I don't even have a bank account. I mean, so if you're looking for a verified seller, that's not me. Okay, you send me a money order through the mail or something. But anyway, I've had some people that's try to buy some DVDs and they want a verified seller, and that's not me. I'm trying to think what else is happening here. Like I said, we got court 3 days next week. I have actually met with the process server. We're going to have some attorneys served, I guess, tomorrow in Riverside that kind of butted in on some of my lawsuits. I have no pity or mercy on bar attorneys, especially when they step into a common law situation. They're not even versed enough to know that they have no standing, but I guess they think they do. So, we've got 2 attorneys in Riverside. I've already sued again, and we're going to have a default judgment at the end of January.
Okay, so if you're listening, hey, we're listening in on Flat Earth Radio. Ooh, nice. Tim Osman says, just spoke about Mousegate to a group of ballers on Jose. I'll give you a link with a timestamp. Good. Hey, look, what we're doing right now is we're taking we're compiling everyone's response to this thing, and you're going to see who's real, who's fake. You're going to see who the traitors are. Real pieces of human garbage who want to defend government propaganda designed to enslave minds. Like, screw those people. And if you want to call in and say this is a video compression artifact, by all means, call in and lie if you have to. This is not a video compression artifact. Mick West told me that. I emailed Mick West. I said, hey, look, 12/5/2019, SpaceX launch, CRS-19 delivering supplies, including genetically modified rats, to the space station. And on that launch footage, at 18 minutes in, 43 minutes in, and a couple other places, you can see mice playing on the Merlin 1D rocket engine. This is on the Merlin. Is it like a magic trick? So those of you who are saying this isn't a mouse, please call in on record and out yourself as entirely dishonest, untrustworthy, and incapable of really perceiving for yourself. Even Brenda says it looks like an animal. The guy who works on movies says compression is a ridiculous claim. Yeah, so phones are open for me, 505-510-4226. But let's go ahead and listen on Mike for a few more minutes here. I think he's got 6 or 7 more minutes. But again, if you believe that's not a mouse, please be happy. I'll be happy to take your call. I really want to talk about it. Good
Yeah,
job
for
tracking
that,
Mousegate.
and buy all this merchandise, and I don't know, um, but it's just part of the distractions, I guess. But I look back at what all the time I spent racing, traveling, and I've come to the point now where I feel it's just a waste of national or actually resources, which I would have never said that decades ago, but I kind of feel that now. Yeah, to me, you think in the end, what did it accomplish? It's kind of like when someone wins the Super Bowl. 5 minutes later, what's it really mean? You know, I mean, put some money in some people's pockets. They sold some merchandise, whatever, but it does not change anything. So this is why I feel the space launch is that important, because it can change the world. It can change the world, and it's been very disheartening that the flat Earth community has not gotten behind that. And there's even been people who say that it's not practical or it costs too much. I mean, think about it. There's been people inside the movement said $2.5 million is too cost prohibitive. Now think about that for a second, knowing that Red Bull spent at least $10 million and maybe up to $26 million for going a third of the way up, which I will do. The TV show, once again, 3 episodes are done. They're waiting for my launch.
Mike, we have a call
we're just
here.
trying to make. Yeah.
Hello, Mr.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have my reading glasses, so that's why I'm squinting at the screen. Okay.
Hey,
hello,
man,
caller.
how's it going?
Hi, can you hear us?
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I hear you guys.
Yeah, I can hear.
I just wanted to wish everyone there a happy New Year. And I just want to say
thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I just want to say you're an inspiration, man, and I think you're giving a lot of people encouragement to be brave and courageous coming into this new year. So I just want to wish you the best of luck with all your endeavors, including
thank
the
you.
radio show. I'm really excited for you.
Yeah, thank you. We're supposed to inspire people. And thank you for the kindness. There were some people who walked up to me last night. I went with a couple of friends of mine to a local bar here in Apple Valley. I really don't drink, but tonight, because I wanted to hear the band. It's an incredible band. And in fact, one of the guys was sick. They didn't even play. And some people walking up to me says, "I've seen the videos. It's inspirational." So, and that's what it's all about. We're supposed to inspire other people and do it humbly, and know that we're supposed to be an example. We're supposed to be an example. And I know my language is kind of coarse at times, but sometimes that's the way you can express, I guess, the true meaning or true feelings of something. But yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you for calling in. And for the most part, I just want the best for people. But when people try to sabotage what I've done and ignore, that doesn't sit too well with me. But yeah, thank you, and call back next week, okay?
Yeah, just one last thing. I just want to say that we come up through schooling and they teach us, they kind of beat the creativity out of us and our ambitions. So it's great to see people like you lead the way and show the things that people didn't even consider are possible. So I think that that's the best way to uplift humanity, is to do what you're doing and lead by example. So keep up the great work, man. We're all cheering for you, especially with that, what's it called, the Raccoon launch. That sounds incredible. So we'll all be staying tuned.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
It'd be a pretty intense 3 hours. Thank you for calling in.
All right, have a great one. Happy New Year.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Rick, thank you. Yeah, so basically, if we could do it for their lives, they say if we can just change one person or one kid or one man or woman, and our job is done. I've talked about this before, and there was there was a band in the 90s that did this video called Runaway Train. And the gentleman that directed the video came up with the idea of putting kids that ran away from home. And while they debated, said, yeah, that's not a bad idea. And it turned out to be such a huge hit. And the guy that came up with the idea says, basically, they're interviewing him. He's sitting on the stool just answering this. And he says, maybe I earned my way into heaven. So maybe this is my way, of pushing the door open there. Or at least when I show up, they'll recognize me. So I think we have 5 more minutes left here, Rick. I can't read the clock on my laptop.
Yep, 5 minutes.
Oh, good deal. Okay, yeah, I left my reading glasses. I can see a fly now on the wall 50 feet away, but if I have to read stuff, I have to squint. So it's kind of embarrassing. I guess it's part of the age thing.
Okay, so if you guys are just listening here, this is catching the tail end of Mad Mike Hughes on Flat Earth Radio. A number of people are still defending this mouse, and we're taking names, we're taking statements, and we're making memes. What I mean is, this is bullshit. If you're going to defend it, you know it is. I know it is. That's a mouse. So let's just name a couple of names here. I think we have some memes ready. But I'm going to be back. I'm not sure if we're going to take a break for a couple of minutes here. But look, I want to show you what I'm talking about here. We'll get into it in just a minute.
Show in New York. I was not even looking at Kennedy. I had an earpiece on where they was feeding me the questions, and I was looking at a picture of myself like I am right now. And that was a tough interview to do, but yeah, I made Kennedy stop a couple of times and think about what she was asking or whatever. But that's one thing I kind of learned, this whole social media thing. People just want to validate what their belief system, and this goes back to the truth movement. It's really, really tough for people to grab onto this flat Earth thing. And man, I get it. And you especially wonder what other people's going to think about you. And there's been people ostracized from their families, So I personally know 2 people that their family members want to commit them. Kind of a lighthearted way, but what do? You just kind of keep pushing 1 foot forward every day. And you wake up and do what you can. At least that's what I try to do. I'm going to go home tonight and do 2 hours of paperwork on court stuff. Do I want to do that? No. Do I want to sit there and just enjoy myself? So at the end of the day, you try to do the right thing, but sometimes you don't really know, because sometimes what seemed right at one time, 6 months, a year later, wasn't as right as you thought it was. So it's one of the hard lessons I've had to learn in my life, But hopefully we inspired people along the way. I know Rick wanted me to read something that I forgot to do. Well, we got cut off last week, I guess it was, during the broadcast. But see if I can pull this up. So anyway, we just want to, remind everybody, we're on ferlive.com. And I want to thank everyone that is part of the broadcast and put this thing together, and everyone else that's on the network. And thank Russ and Rick and Mark and everyone that's involved, and the people that helped put together the opening theme for me, and Chief Crow. And I want to thank IPS. And at the end of the day, just kind of wish the best for everyone. So anyway, we'll see everyone next Wednesday. Thanks.
All right, everyone. That was the end of Flat Earth Radio this week with Mad Mike Hughes, WTF Radio. So you can catch that at madmikehughes.com. Very soon we're going to have, I'll probably have it set up by tomorrow, a podcast account so you can check out the archives there on his site, madmikehughes.com. And earlier he was talking about the parachutes they used. And yeah, he still has parts from his nearly horizontal rocket jump from 2014. If you want to hit him up, he is accessible through his site, madmikehughes.com. reach out to him while you can, because once this Science Channel production begins, he's going to be hard to reach. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you what I was talking about a minute ago. So I hit up Mick West from Metabunk, and I said, in reference to this animated GIF. Now, if you're a sentient conscious being, you know that that is a mouse. If you've ever seen a mouse in your life, you know that's a mouse. Just look at its ears. Oh, look, the ear is brushing up against the surface on the inside of the Merlin 1D rocket engine. Oh, look, the mouse's tail's moving. It's moving consistently with the way that a mouse moves. It's a little quadruped creeping really close to the ground. Very interested to know how it's not crushed flat against the engine, the Merlin 1D engine right now. It should be going, I think, 800 miles per hour. That's a mouse. But there are some people who are not allowed to say it's a mouse. There are some people who will default to the consensus explanation because they are servants of the Matrix. For example, I emailed Mick West and I said, hey Mick, there's a rat on the Merlin 1D rocket engine of SpaceX's CRS-19 launch. This was on December 5th, 2019. He took the whole night to think about it. I don't think he slept. And his response was, it's a video compression artifact. Mick West of Metabunk says this mouse is a video compression artifact. What does that say about his judgment, his discernment? He didn't zoom in. He didn't crop any pictures, show me close-ups. He didn't compare them to existing artifacts. He didn't make a case, but he just stated it's a video compression artifact. So, okay, I'll take you at your word. You actually believe that, Mick. So, yes, I decided that anybody who is going to push the bogus line that this thing is made out of ice or it's a video compression artifact, you get a free ticket to Timbuktu. If you don't know what Timbuktu is basically it's a town full of people who used to be regular people before they were, quote, memed to Timbuktu. And you look here, quote, the best way to prevent video compression artifacts is with a year-round pest control plan. Because, of course, these are video compression artifacts, not dead mice. According to Mick West of Metabunk. Jack Boy says there are 4 visible movements on both rocket cams. Oh yeah, I mean the one I was looking at, the main one, is the one that's the hardest to deny. You know, the other one you could say, okay, that's ice. Oh, that's space dust. Oh, that's just a video compression artifact. But, you know, most people will see this and they'll say, I don't know, let me wait till Snopes comes up with an answer. And that's why I went straight to Mick West, because he's Metabunk. So I'm like, let me be the one to break the news to him that it's over. The gig is over. We know what we know. We know that this is not in outer space. This is a model, a scale model of the rocket. Marty Moose says, I've seen thousands of compression artifacts and 0 look like a mouse wiggling around. Well, let me take the expert, Mick West, at his word. Okay, let's say that's a video compression artifact. Show me anywhere where we've seen something even slightly similar. Worst excuse ever. He wasn't the only one. We have a few other people who were denying their senses. Oh yeah, here's a good one. Jim Panda said it was aluminum. Do you know who Jim Panda is? I don't. I think he's on the other side of the pond. I'm waiting for Red's rhetoric to come out and call it a smudge. This is what I really want to see. I want Fight the Flat Earth to come out and defend that thing. So if anybody knows where Craig's at, is he awake right now? Craig, Fight the Flat Earth, if you're listening. Oh, yeah, he said foil. Excuse me. I thought he said aluminum foil. Jim Panda said ice. Somebody else said foil. I did find one made out of ice so we can compare them. Okay, so here is a mouse made out of ice, as you can see here. That's not a mouse. It's ice, but it's shaped like a mouse. So you can understand why, if you were to see this and call it a mouse, like, well, you're not totally wrong. It is technically a mouse, or looks like a mouse, but it's ice. Okay, that's one possible explanation for this. Does that look like an ice cube, or a handful of ice cubes on a rocket going 800 miles per hour into low Earth orbit? And the ice just configures itself to look like a mouse, retain its integrity, even as it moves like a mouse? Amazing. Lickety Split says it could be foil from the Moonlander. Yeah, I considered that. There could be a lot of foil in low Earth orbit from all these previous craft. And see, here you go. So these two mice here, and these actually look right. These look like wharf rats with the long snouts, which is kind of what that one looks like. So does that look like aluminum to you? Mudflutter says it's frozen space junk. New Perspective says it's like they're gaslighting us with an AE looking ice wall graphic in the background. Yes, I thought the same exact thing. In fact, I'm doing a painting right now of this. And right now, I just finished painting the ocean. I'm letting it dry while I'm live streaming here so I can come back and do the final layers. I've already painted the mouse, but yeah, it looks like the edge of the flat earth right there. It's kind of funny. Lando Rock says, at those speeds, that rat should be a smudge. Bitlaw says, it could easily be a few pieces of foil that happen to resemble a rat. I smell a rat here with bit loss. I bet you the guy doesn't have the guts to call in. So if you're going to defend that as aluminum foil, please call in. Please call in. If you have any other entertaining, ridiculous theories about that mouse, please give me a call. 505-510-4226. We could all use a laugh. Skyrocket says, how can it be foil if you can see it walking? Bitlaw says, says smell a rat. That's not an argument. Hey man, this is not a debate. Either that it's a mouse or it's not a mouse. And if you're going to assert it's not a mouse, that it's aluminum foil or ice or whatever, I want you to explain to me how it works. Because let's say Mick West is right. Okay, let's just say Mick West has it right, and it is video compression. It's a video compression artifact. Okay, well, Mick, how does a video compression artifact have a shadow consistent with the direction of the light? There's a light shining, as you can see, from left to right, and the shadow follows the mouse perfectly. The ears brush up against the rim. They go flat and they go out again. Bitlaw says, I'm extremely bit hurt and I can't call because I don't want to be embarrassed and I have no balls. Hey man, that's cool. I'm not really interested in what you got. If you don't have the character to call in, that's fine. Be an anonymous loser. Why do I care? Hide. Stay in your safe space. One thing I don't really respect, I don't respect anonymous opinions. They're highly suspect. Like, what are you hiding? Seriously, what are you hiding? I mean, besides the fact that you're defending a billionaire who advances statism, like, what is it that you got that you can't really come out and defend yourself? Bitloss says it's not a rat. Call in, Bitloss. Tell us what it is. And also explain to me how 2 + 2 = 5, because that's your frame of reference, right? You're speaking for Big Brother. Russ T27 says, do we have a full video, a longer video? What do you think? You know, we're the ones who do the research here. Yeah, this was the CRS-19 launch from December 5th, 2019, in which they had, quote, genetically modified mighty mice being sent to the space station to do some experiments about preventing muscle deterioration while in zero-G. So yeah, we looked at the video. This is from the video, and this is not the only time we see the damn mouse, and every time it looks like a mouse. So you want to tell me this is made out of Play-Doh or aluminum foil or space ice or whatever? By all means, do so. But explain to me how you arrived at that conclusion and not the most likely conclusion, that being what it looks like and what it moves like, what it apparently is. And again, the fact that there was a mouse being sent many mice being sent to the space station on this launch day tells you everything. They had a few escapees. A few escapees got away from the cage. They didn't want to go to the space station. They didn't want to do any experiments. So they nested in the Merlin 1D rocket. And then late one night, their studios are open and they're going to fake the launch. So they turn on the lights, they turn on the engine, and it wakes up the family of mice who've taken up residence inside of it. And you can see them just scurrying out. Their house is on fire. I mean, what else is there? Russ T says, it looks like a rat for sure. I want to see what happens after the loop. Okay, I'm just glad that you're at least not lying to yourself right there. Bitlaw says, tell me there's no way for a foil to happen to resemble a mouse on poor resolution video. Okay, so you think this might be foil. Let's go with the foil for a moment. For one thing, it couldn't be one piece. You can see that it goes partially beneath the rim. So whatever this foil is, the ears, or the parts that are looking like ears, actually move as though they're mounted on a head. The ears move back when they brush up against the rim, and they flop back like ears do. The tail waves back and forth as it walks, and the shadow follows it. So you want to say this is foil. I want to know, are you being paid to defend billionaires? Or are you doing this for free? Out of the kindness of your heart, you're protecting their bullshit propaganda. What is it? What's your incentive here to say that that's aluminum foil? You're not going to 1984 me and have me saying, yeah, you're holding up 5 fingers when it's 4. Jackboy says, yep, started 18 minutes on 1080 HD at 0.25 speed and deny it. By all means, deny it. We want you on record denying it. If you're going to go on record calling this thing aluminum foil or ice or whatever, we want to be able to make a meme out of you, throw you in Timbuktu, just so we have a record that, oh, this person threw away their credibility. This agent. Linda Curtis says, why would there even be foil? Does foil survive that speed? Good point. Ron XYZ says, just more fake space. Oh, look, let's take it one step further. I know this is going to hurt those of you who still believe in Elon Musk. This is going to hurt you really bad. If this is a mouse, well, then it's not traveling. Let's start with that. If this is a mouse, and it is a mouse, it's not traveling up into space. Witsa says, has anyone worked out the proportions? Looks like an 18-inch rat. It looks like an 18-inch rat or a scaled-down model of the Merlin engine. It's one of the two. Bitlaw says, I, Trent Yates, go on record. I am an agent of billionaires, and I was paid to say it's not a rat. I want you to call in and say it on record that you could. I want to hear you deny it. I love it. I love reality deniers. I love debating with the Mandela affected. You want to call in and tell me that's not a mouse? Please do it. Tell me, and I want to know what your expertise is. How many videos have you edited? How many years of video editing do you have? Photoshop, graphic design. Because I'm experienced enough with editing, with graphic design, I could actually hand animate. That is, with my phone, I could take a clip of video and frame by frame, I could insert a mouse that looks like that. Like, could you? Like, I know what I'm looking at here. That's a mouse. He says, I don't want to call in right now. I'm scared. Why go on phone? Well, because anonymous people don't have any credibility with the Infinite Plane Society because we're evidence-based. Hearsay doesn't matter. And you seem a little triggered. So what I'd like to do is remove you from the chat. You're gone. And if you want to call in, we'll let you back in. It's that simple. Anonymous people don't have any credibility. So aside from one anonymous guy in the chat, nobody here is asserting that that's not a mouse. Just one guy. And look, we got rid of him. We got rid of him because he's not willing to call in, which makes me wonder, who was that? You know, who was it? Apparently, whoever it was, they weren't willing to put their credibility on the line. They didn't want to put their intellect on the mind. They didn't want to look dumb in front of all of us. Russ said, I was the only one at my work that called it fake. People need to wake up. A call all day 2323 says scale model. Movie productions use scale models. Oh yeah, they use scale models on the space shuttle. Rockstar to be says, what would Joe Rogan say? Joe Rogan's going to say whatever the people who have his balls in a jar tell him to say. He's not going to see it. He's going to say it's ice. He's going to say, I don't know, what does Snopes say? Yeah, sad for BitLoss, really. I have a feeling that BitLoss is probably Fight the Flat Earth, Simon Dan, Godless Engineer, or Red's Rhetoric. One of these paid government agent shills who are allowed to engage in things that are against the terms of service. You know, I'm not allowed to create hit pieces and bully people for fun, call them stupid. I lose my channel. Not that I would do it. But these guys can because it's open season on the people who question SpaceX. But you want to call me stupid because I'm calling a mouse a mouse? Go for it, but do it on the phone. Interesting point here. Alto says 9/11 footage is filled with scale models. Could be photoshopped. No, look, obviously this thing's not in outer space. This is a mouse on the exterior of the rocket. How many other channels are talking about this? I want to know this, okay? Because I'm telling you what, this mouse looks more mousy than Jaren's ISS transits look like actual ISS space stations crossing in front of the moon. I think his transits look like clip art dragged across stock footage of the moon. That's what it looks like to me. So I'd like to know, are they going to talk about this or are they going to have to defend it? Because if you're defending the space station as a way of gatekeeping and guardrailing the issue, you're going to have to defend this. So before you put a video up about this, you might want to, I don't know, consult with your superiors because this is damning. This is not like Starman that makes Elon Musk look kind of like, you know, a lone bad actor fooling people. No, this is something going to the space station. It went to the space station. Lean Dion says, of mice bringing down very rich men. Yeah, no doubt. Think about that. One of the richest men in the world, one of the few members of the Billionaire Blimp Club, Pope Elon, Martian Pope, brought down by a single mouse. That's why I thought it was a Chinese spy, an agent, a communist saboteur, because China wants to hit Mars first so they don't have to deal with capitalism. They want to plant the flag on the red planet for Red China. So of course they would want to sabotage him. And I'm like, well, maybe that's what they did. But if you look at the story, and we've covered this ad nauseum on this channel, they did in fact you got to see these headlines because you're not going to believe it. SpaceX sending genetically modified mice to space. They're calling them mighty mice. SpaceX is sending super muscular mice to the space station. That was December 5th. That's this launch. I mean, think about this. Rodent Research 19 experiment, scientists genetically engineered mice that lack myostatin, a protein that limits how much the animal's muscles can grow. This causes the mice to have twice the amount of skeletal muscle mass as normal mice. Did that look like an especially muscular mouse? But you know what this is a reference to, right? Mighty Mouse is a mouse that goes into outer space and he doesn't need a spacesuit. When was the last time you saw a mouse in outer space without a spacesuit? I mean, I've seen mice in the ISS, but I've never seen a mouse in outer space. Not since this one. Not since Mighty Mouse. So again, is there anybody else here willing to defend this garbage? It's awfully quiet, which is a good thing. So the next stage here, the next thing we need to do is we need to bring this to the attention by name of all of the people who are defending this stuff day in, day out for a living. And I have no problem with them making a living. You know, I hope you get rich mocking flat earthers. What do I care? Free speech. My thing is, if you're claiming to be the arbiter of truth, you say that, you know, we're being dishonest, that we're not on the side of truth, that we're liars, we're deceivers or whatever. Well, prove it. Prove to me. So fight the flat earth if this gets to you. I would like you to look at this and debunk it. Do your best. Tell me that on top of your head right there, it's nothing more than a video compression artifact. Or is that ice? Or is it aluminum foil? What's that jumping on FTFE's head? Anyone? Put a 1 if you think it's a mouse. Put a 2 if you think it's ice. Put a 3 if you think it's aluminum foil. Yeah, Mick Toon also needs to answer for this. Anybody who's ever defended the ISS has to answer for this immediately. Anyone who's defended the existence of the space station. Calling all Earth-shaped field agents, tiers 1, 2, and 3. You need to start putting out some content. Marty Moose says it's a mouse. Russ says it's a mouse. Does anybody here think this is video compression? Nothing but ones. Red Rooster Truther says that's a mouse. Post Globe Syndicate says mouse. Anybody else here think? Let me email Mick West again and ask him, hey man, is this aluminum foil? Is it ice? Or is that a video compression artifact? Nothing but ones here. Mudflutter says that's Fight the Flat Earth's hair. Could be. That could be his hair. And then of course, since it's a video compression artifact, it's only looking like a mouse. Kind of like this is aluminum foil or space ice, and it just looks like a mouse because that's what things do. Like, you know, if you were to just take a fistful of ice and just throw it on the floor, it's going to form into the shape of a mouse, and it's going to run, and it's going to go probably under something. It's going to go under the fridge or something, and you're not going to be able to find it because that ice, you know, it turns into a mouse and it can just go into places. Like, you think they found with this? You see what they're asking us to believe? Country Gravy Bear says it looks like a squirrel. Interesting. Lean Dion says mice. Oh yeah, this is probably let me find the comment here. I think Dylan. Someone had said that this is a wharf rat. So if you look at the nose. So really quick here, I did a search on compression artifacts just to show you. It's a noticeable distortion of media caused by lossy compression. Lossy data compression involves discarding some of the media's data so it becomes small enough to be stored within the desired disk space or transmitted stream on the available bandwidth, also known as date rate or bit rate. That's why that commenter came in here as bit loss. If the compressor cannot store enough data in the compressed version, a result is a loss of quality or the introduction of artifacts. Look at this here. Artifacts are occasionally intentionally produced for artistic purposes known as glitch art or data moshing. Does this look like glitch art? Does this look like data moshing? Anyone? Rockstar to Be says, how hot should that rocket be? I'd say about room temperature. For that mouse to be alive right now. But I think that this metal here is usually the color of metal. So this is hot. This is like, I don't know. I'll have to ask. In fact, let's find out. Maybe Fight the Flat Earth can do some research on that. Let us know what kind of conditions a mouse would have to undergo to survive this. I mean, I think honestly it would have been roasted inside of the thing. It wouldn't have made it outside of the Earth's atmosphere. A little mouse though like this. Imagine this. I mean, this is the year of the rat. But people are outing themselves as incapable of thinking for themselves. Yeah, Gem Panda said, let me find it here. Is he the one who said it was ice? There are so many comments I have to go through, but anyway, we need to hold the people who defend this thing accountable, make them own it. I mean, it's pretty bad. Here we go. Terman says it's foil. Look at the video in the highest definition. It's clearly foil. Mice are simply not metallic or shiny. Okay, so some guy named Terman says that it's foil. Matt8389 says definitely not compression because compression is small squares and that's too smooth. Foil, ice, and now could it be this? Could it be a ball of aluminum foil and some ice? And so the ice and the foil are going around the edge of the rim of the rocket on the inside. And then that movement of the ice and the foil is being compressed. So could this be a composite of ice and foil and video compression? Could that create a mouse? And the thing is, let's say they attack this piece and they debunk it. There's a few things they'll have to explain here. Like, for example, when it starts, it's underneath this bar. So if you look at the top of the picture on the top right, there's a bar. It starts off on the other side of it and it goes beneath it. So if it goes beneath it, it's not video compression artifacts. It cannot be video compression artifacts. No way, it's beneath this thing. So that's been debunked. It's got a shadow. It's if you look at the nose, frame by frame, and I'm going to bring this out frame by frame. It's not that many, 30 or 40 frames in all the different appearances. I'm going to show you frame by frame. It moves as a mouse does. But what's more, even if you were to debunk this one or claim that, even if you're able to engage in that high level of cognitive dissonance to where you're able to say that it's not a mouse, guess what? This isn't the only time it shows up. It shows up 2 other times. So good luck. Good luck, all you Earth-shaped field agents. Bullet 1536 says maybe it's a mascot for the Space Force, Mighty Mouse. Lean Dion says foil doesn't crawl. Well, maybe if it's moving 800 miles per hour in outer space. Look, I thought that bubbles in space was a winning issue, and that's why we went with it. But they were able to say, no, it's space dust, it's this, it's that, it's. They had so many explanations. They're not going to be able to explain this away. 200 says it looks mousy to me. Does anybody else here think it doesn't look mousy? We've only had one person in here trying to call this a video compression artifact. Like, please call in if you want to do that. 505-510-4226. Call in if you want to try to make the case that this is a video compression artifact. And if you don't mind, explain why. Why are you over here? Commenter says, biggest mouse I've ever seen. Well, how big do you think it is? How big do you think it is? If you're going to make an argument from incredulity saying it's too big, you're assuming that if they're faking it, they're using a full-scale model. Full Metal Jacket says, I've watched the CRS launch 20 times. I keep seeing the mouse. Marty Moose says, Witza agreed, CGI inserted image, somebody that works at SpaceX being pissed at Elon. Yeah, the rocket here, this has to be tiny because that's a normal sized mouse. That's what I think. But look, this is how we know we're winning this conversation. We're moving things forward. None of the people who will defend this anonymously in chat will call in. None of them have the guts to call in. Nobody's going to call me deceived, a liar, a punk, and not have me call in if they give me the number. And I'm saying, hey, fight the flat earth. Mick Tunes, Simon, Dan, Godless Engineer, all of you. If you can't call in and defend this, then we know what you are. You're agents, you're shills, and you're not allowed to talk about this. This might be banned. It might be a banned topic. Tim Truth says Mick West lost the credibility he had. Well, you know what? My view on this guy's work, Metabunk's work, not really him, but Metabunk, is that their job is just to reinforce the consensus. It's not about truth. So I knew when I wrote him that he was going to defend the consensus. We did it as a joke. We said, let's just see what kind of crap he comes up with. He slept on and he woke up, he said, oh, that's obviously a video compression artifact. But he didn't supply any screenshots. He didn't zoom in. He didn't change the contrast. He didn't do any due diligence. Yeah, call in if you want to defend the mouse. Is there anybody here willing to defend it? I mean, this is great. This is actually really good. People used to be really vehement about defending the ball, defending the space station, and here they are just conceding, which is great, because if this sticks and this continues to propagate, it undermines everything else that they're trying to pass off as real. We need to adopt him. You know, I know it's a rat. I know most of you aren't into the rat thing, but I think we need to adopt this rat as our, I don't know, for the year, maybe a mascot. Russ T27 says, where can I find the full video? Google it. SpaceX CRS-19. The reason why I'm telling people to get it for themselves is one, if I have it on my channel, I'm going to be accused of having tampered with it. And two, you need to go to the source and let them lie to you directly. Go watch the video and see if you're willing to tolerate being lied to directly, from the source. Just Jones says the penguin's mascot. Yeah, I kind of thought about that. Somebody said I should animate a penguin eating the rat, but I'm like, no, the rat's on our side. They've been kidnapped and sent into space, fake space. So they've been kidnapped and put into cages for fake science. You think mice are cool with pseudoscience and propaganda? I don't think so. We're trying to rescue them. This guy might have died. We don't know. Did he die? Was he a martyr? Did he get cooked in the Merlin 1D engine because he's not supposed to be there? Did we just put him in danger by publicizing this? Is Elon Musk out there with one of his flamethrowers running through the warehouse hunting this thing? Yeah, exactly. This is trafficking. We got a commenter. Oh, great. I got an ultra zoomed in video. Hey, what's up, caller?
Yo, man. Can you get the GIF?
Yeah, go ahead and mute your speaker really quick.
Oh, yeah. Can you get the GIF on the stream?
Yes. So the GIF on the screen, what you're looking at is actually have a video. I can zoom in a little more. Well, what do you think it is?
Can you zoom on it?
You want me to zoom in closer? Yes.
Yes. I don't see it on the stream. Oh my god. It's so late. Okay.
I can't zoom in any closer. Can you see it?
No. It's loading.
So this is the CRS-19, and this was on December
Okay,
the 5th.
okay. Take a screenshot. Okay, zooming.
See the black line in the middle of the screen? That's the inner rim of the Merlin 1D engine. And
Yeah.
And we're talking about that shape
So,
that moves across
its head shape, compared to its body, it's fucking huge. Did you see this? No.
What do you think? What do you think about the ears?
Not a rat, man. Look at its head. It's fucking huge.
It's a rat.
Have you seen a rat?
It's a wharf rat, is what I've been told. Not a mouse. It's a wharf rat.
What? So that. You say okay? So put the picture of the rat.
Okay. So
The wharf rat. I don't know. I don't get it.
okay. Anyway, let me go ahead and I don't want to be zoomed in that close because I don't want to crash this thing. I just want you to have a good look at it. So does it move like a mouse in your opinion?
No. You said you got a picture of the rat mouse. I don't know. Don't get the name. I'm French. Hello.
Yeah,
French community.
Yeah, I've been told it's a wharf rat. Are you in France right now, or are you?
Yeah. No. Quebec, the incest place.
Gotcha. Okay, let's take a look at the wharf rat.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. So it looks like the wharf rat is characterized with a long snout and big ears. I mean, maybe we should talk to someone, maybe at one of these pet shops, and ask if they can identify. Or maybe I should call the animal control.
Nothing. Bonne nuit. That was my daddy. Bon. Wait.
Yeah. So anyway, my question here though for you then is.
What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that rat?
And it's in space. That's the thing about it that's so wrong. This is in outer space.
No, this is what? His ears are so small. It's not the thing that you see in the video. It's look at his head compared to its body. Put some ruler, do some I don't know what's the name.
Well, I think a lot of it is inside. Like if you look closely, you're not seeing its entire body because its head's popping up, but it's actually inside of the rim. So it's partially concealed, and its tail still extends back quite a bit.
Oh my god, so many. No, dude, it's not a rat. So many excuses and things. No, it's just something that moves. And you associate it with a rat, and it's normal, but no, it's not.
Could it be made out of aluminum foil?
I don't know. I don't know shit about this, but I know it's not a rat.
Could be a mouse.
And so do you.
No, that's a mouse. That's a mouse.
Because it looks like one?
Yeah. That's the first thing. You know, if it looks like something, it probably is something. If it moves like something,
It looks like a mouse.
It moves like a mouse.
In a hole with its head out.
It does. And look, the ears interact with the lighting, and they have shadows.
Bruh.
I've looked at this pixel by pixel, and this is going to bring down SpaceX in 2020.
No, it's nothing, bruh. It's nothing.
I don't know.
Are you even sure there is a hole there? A crack?
Oh yeah, I looked closely at the Merlin 1D engine. I've looked at the entire video, top to bottom, and we found the same mouse more than one time.
You have seen pictures of the real engine, this engine.
Yes, it's called the Merlin.
And it has a...
It's the Merlin 1D, and what you're seeing here, this is the engine. In fact, this is the launch from December the 5th.
I don't know what launch it is. I just know that, bruh, it's not. Look at his head. Okay, let's do something. Okay, so head compared to body, to the length of the body, the diameter, I don't know. You have to make some scientific shit. You have to find out which mouse this is really and compare its head to body size to real mouse head to body size to prove it scientifically.
Okay, one thing. Let's say this, okay? And I know what you're talking about. We'll do it. But I want to ask you this. If this is a mouse and we prove it to be a mouse, what does it mean?
I don't know. That they put the fucking mouse in space that was just hanging out?
That's what I'm asking. I mean, this is a big question.
Would that be nice?
If this is a mouse, it cannot possibly be in space. It rules out that possibility.
Why?
Because it's going too fast. Any animal at that
that's
speed,
not the reason.
It's in outer space. It already went through the thermosphere.
Dude, have you seen planes in World War One? Bruh, head sticking out. It's not speed. Bruh, acceleration, it's science, physics. It didn't go to 100 to 0 to 800 miles per second in 1 second. It took acceleration with the rocket.
Okay, well, let me let everybody know. So everyone here
going at the same.
Look,
it's going at the same speed as the rocket.
There's 144 people listening, and I want you all to know you're listening to the voice of someone.
I'm a federal agent.
Oh, you're a federal agent, and
I'm paid $10 per hour.
That's it.
To call random numbers and streams.
No, I don't think
I'm trying to reason. This isn't a mouse. I don't know what it is. I just know that this is bullshit. And it just looks like a mouse. And I understand that you would say that it's a mouse because it looks like a mouse and acting. But it's not, bruh.
You know what? I was listening to the live video of it, and I actually heard it squeaking. It squeaked like a mouse, it walks like a mouse, and it looks like a mouse. Does that do it
You have audio. Next to the rocket, you have audio of the squeaking mouse.
No,
fucking rocket.
I made that part
making a supersonic sound. I don't know, fucking explosions, and you hear the squeaking.
Yep. All right. Well, phones
No,
are open.
let's.
I hope that you don't have a lot of money invested into SpaceX because it's going down.
I'm a fucking kid.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate the call, and it's a mouse. You're gonna have to deal with it.
No,
this is year of the
zoom
rat.
zoom on it. Make some research about mouses that could have a head to this body size comparison. I don't know. Some find a scientific proof. Don't just hey, it's a mouse, so space is fake. That's retarded, man.
It's a rat.
Or rat, I don't know.
It's a
Anything
mammal.
that you want it to be.
It's a mammal in space, and it debunks.
Could be a cat. It's so fucking long.
Well, hey, look, the Earth is flat. Just kidding, but we don't know. But we do know that this is fake. Anyway, thanks for the call. I have a couple other people trying to get in. 505-510-4226. We tried our best. What do you have? Arguments from incredulity? That's nothing. Nothing. I'm not going to let this go. I'm curious as to why someone would be so passionate about it. Passionate about what? Defending Elon Musk's reputation? Passionate about defending the space program? This is the best fake space proof we have right now. This is the best proof to show anybody that there are reasons to suspect that we've been lied to about many things. Look here, look at the very top. When it first pops out, it's beneath that bar. That's not a video compression. 777 says he's either LARPing or his agency just doesn't care anymore. That's what I'm thinking. He's getting paid $10 an hour to do this info. The other caller's trying to get in. Yeah, if you want to call back again. I'm sorry, I had the ringer off just to be polite when that guy was calling. A commenter says 3008. He says, where's the other callers you said you were trying to get in? You can call in because I can read what you're implying there. So we'll go ahead and remove you, but you can call in if you want to get back in. 505-510-4226. Yeah, that might have been the sound of someone's dreams being crushed. You're not going to be an astronaut when you grow up. Infinite Plane Radio. Hey, what's up, caller?
Howdy, it's Timmy. What's up?
Hey, Timmy. What do you think about Mick West's response that this is a video compression error?
It's definitely the worst of the excuses, for sure. And I've contacted him on Skype with a friendly meme of him. But like I said, I'll make it somewhat quick. I did talk on Jose's. I'll give you the timestamp and a video of that fairly soon once that's done. But I just threw it out there, and a person like Brenda was like, at very first, that no, definitely not. I gave him the video, Brenda, of what I did, the 1080p from the 1080p, and Brenda completely changed tune right there. And I was very surprised that there wasn't some extreme cognitive dissonance about it. He basically said that first off, it was like, I don't see any legs. And I said, well, he's kind of walking in a crack there, first off. And then once he watched that, he's pretty convinced it did appear to look like that. And so we have a bunch of globe kind of people looking at it, and spoiler alert at the end, some of them were looking at ice in space, and then kind of it ended up being that it was ice, and there was a guy that works on movies, I guess, and he was just flabbergasted. That's the stupidest claim ever, DKG Custom, stupidest thing ever. And I just kept asking, then what is it? This is official video that I looked at myself. I was very skeptical at first. When I finally saw what you were looking at, I looked a little closer. I took it into After Effects, tried to brighten it up a little bit so that you could actually see what's happening. And I'm not convinced in any way. I'll put that out there. I'm not really sure. It appears to be an animal walking, number one, from its movement. But number two, it does look like a mouse. or is some kind of a rat, perhaps. So I'm not sure. I'm not saying it is either one way or the other. I'm just saying that this is one of the best, I guess, kind of space hoax kind of videos that I've seen. I can't explain it. That's it.
Yeah, I appreciate your call and your insight, and definitely good trolling around with this thing, because everybody needs to be held to the same standard, which is reality, if we're going to get to the truth. And for all we know, I could be right, and we could see someone get fired for inserting a digital artifact. I mean, we do have the best CGI people work for these space agencies for all their modeling and everything, their simulations. So it's not like they don't have the talent there, that if somebody wanted to tamper, they could do it, especially on this particular shot, because this is a mounted camera, so you don't have to worry about the background moving. If you were to insert something into the shot, it's actually kind of easy.
Well, we can watch things like Star Wars and some of these newer videos that are completely animated, and it looks somewhat real. We know it's fake because it's not actually happening in space or whatever. So, they do have the best of the best. That does call into question, just like what I said before about space bubbles, where you have white bubbles on a black background. That would be the easiest to crop out. So I made a video once you went to the whole New Mexico, council or whatever, about some of the debunks I had for you, and said that, that would be the easiest to crop out. But this artifact, whatever it may be, would be actually pretty hard to insert, in my opinion. So it's ice that's in the shape of a mouse that moves like a mouse. We have video artifact from basically just McWest that I've seen so far, and that it's foil. So that's what we have so far, and I'm just questioning people. I'm not saying that it's this or that. I'm saying that it looks like a mouse, looks like a rat, looks like something living, moving, walking across. That's what I can observe. So that's what it is, what I have right now.
Yeah, right now that's where I'm at too. Like, I'm not going to assert it is a mouse, because this could be like an Easter egg. This could be a prank. It could be an internal joke where Musk said, hey, we're sending Mighty Mice into space. Could you do this? They could have done this as a layer and had it ready to go in advance. So, I mean, this could be some type of a joke. I don't know. Again, we don't know yet, but the best I can do is try to get as many opinions as I can. And like you listed them off: ice, aluminum foil, video compression artifacts. So that's what we're at right now.
Yep, and people who, not to say strictly flat earthers in my case, just saying when you can, the whole it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck kind of thing. Well, it looks like an animal walking by. At first, even when I first talked to you about it, it looked like somewhat like a slithering snake a little bit. But then you have the ears that flat back a little bit. So I've looked at it many, many different times. I just don't see it being any of those three excuses so far. So I'm just searching for what people think about it, and I'm open-minded about it. Maybe there's a positive, reasonable explanation for it, but at this time it seems to be something living to me.
Right, and I mentioned earlier before, we had a mouse infestation in my backyard when I was a teen, and I remember taking the pellet gun out and shooting at them as they'd run across the fences or through the bushes. And when you're hunting mice, you see how they are when they move. They're low to the ground, they creep like little snakes, and you don't always see the whole thing at once. You might just see it brush by. So here, all we're really seeing, if it is a mouse, is basically the head and all along his back, but we don't even see his entire tail, because he's inside of that crevice.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of what I was saying to Brenda at first about, well, I don't see legs. Well, it seems to be kind of in that crevice, as you said. It seems to be in kind of a crack. And then Brenda actually said that, well, yeah, now I actually see kind of movement, and it seems to be like it has legs. So it's an interesting kind of thing. And of course, with the Tesla in space, with the Don't Panic, and the whole thing with Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy, with the mice being the main kind of smart individuals that are leading everyone and stuff, and the computer that's computating these things, and it seems like deep learning. It seems like maybe it was inserted at this point.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting conundrum, and I look forward to throwing this in the face of Fight the Flat Earth and Red's rhetoric just to see if I get any honest answers, if anything.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. Hopefully we can drum up some attention on it. Like I said, I was on Jose's, and I'll give you that time link for exactly when I started that conversation, because it kind of blew up in the chat. Very controversial. And there's some pretty smart individuals as far as globe people on there, and they started showing ice in space and all this stuff. So I don't know what it is, but like I said, it moves like an animal. So anyway, thanks. Hopefully other people who are in disagreement with you can simply call you up and have a conversation. So thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for the call. I appreciate the work and the research. Have a great night. All right, everyone, that's Tim Ostman, who is not a flat earther. In fact, he's been one of the biggest critics of the people who say unequivocally they know it's flat because the Bible tells me so, or they know it's flat because this video on YouTube. But here's something that really, apart from that whole topic, this is something that I think is interesting because it will reveal who is honest with themselves and their own perceptions, and who will default, who will look at something like this and then say, no, that shouldn't be, so I'm not going to believe it to be. And what I know to be a fact too, and you could test this, you could show this to someone and say, hey, look, my friend who's a video editor inserted a mouse, do you think it looks real? And people would say, yeah, it looks real. But if you told them, hey, this is from SpaceX, of course they're going to try to side with SpaceX's explanation. Rosie Bear says, I looked up the pics and there are mice that have ears just like that. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, look, it walks like a mouse. It has a shadow like a mouse. It's really, to me, it's not even a question at this point. The real question is, who put it there and why? And I'm not sure if we're going to get that answer. I'm going to put a link in the chat. Actually, I have a link on, I'll give you on subscribestar.com/Tim Osman. I'll give you a link. It's a public post, and you'll be able to share it. And then it also has a link to the GIF, and then you can also download the video itself. I think the best thing we can do right now is spread this information out there. And don't give them any plausible deniability. They got away with the bubbles in space thing, which I thought was a deal breaker for their whole space station and spacewalks and all the rest. And no, it didn't change anything. Hey, if you just called, please call back one more time. I had the ringer off. You'll have to hang up and call back once more. Just call right back. 505-510-4226. I'll pick up on the next ring. Wide Awake says it's Mighty Mouse. Well, look at the headlines. If you look at the headlines, that day, it was all about sending genetically modified mice into space. Okay, here we go. What's up, caller? Is that a mouse or is that aluminum foil?
It's definitely the appearance of a mouse or a rat. I don't know if it's a real or CGI. It looks pretty real, and it's an amazing phenomenon here, seeing people have to come to terms with their cognitive dissonance here. I think there's been plenty of proof for the past couple decades now that there's a lot of inconsistencies and fabrications with these space agencies, private and public. And it's funny seeing these people have to come to terms with it. And even if you go to this video on, I think, SpaceX's page, the top comments in the comment section are all about, with the timestamps, it's like, hey, did you guys see the rat on the engine there? So it's really an amazing phenomenon. I think these so-called skeptics who just come up with excuses for the establishment are really a disgrace to the term. Really makes me mad to see people like Mick West just try to explain away everything, all the Achilles heels of the establishment. And who's that Michael Shermer dude? Or, there's all these people that call themselves skeptics, but are the absolute opposite of what that term should mean.
Oh yeah, this is going to be revealing because it's going to show who's objective and who's not. And look, if I was someone who was defending this thing and someone said this looks like a rat, I wouldn't just say, no, it's not, you're dumb. I would say, well, let me show you how it's not one. I would zoom in, I would take it frame by frame, and I would analyze it. But one thing this video clip does have, and if you look at it frame by frame, it has integrity. There's no morphing. Its proportions are perfectly the same. And at the bottom of its movements here, you can actually see the eye that's on the side facing the left. You can actually see the eye on the side of its face in one of the frames.
Yeah, especially at the end of the clip here, and you can see its tail. I mean, when you zoomed in for that cozy door dude, it was very telling when you zoomed in. So my question is, was this? I know that Tim Osman did some digging on this. Did he enhance this at all?
No, he zoomed in, and then as far as enhancements, I think what we might have is a little bit of a adjustment in the contrast, maybe, but.
Because I found some tools on the internet that claim to help with blurriness. I just wonder maybe we can get something from trying to enhance and get the blurriness out of this. But it's pretty obvious, especially when we zoom in. When you zoom in on that GIF.
Yes, in fact, I have 1080 enhanced. I do have that, and that's what I put on my page. The 1080 enhanced footage is actually clearer than the Jiffy. This is what's so great about it, is that I've been showing people this Jiffy so they can walk away maybe half-assed convinced that there's some ambiguity, which there's not. But if you look at the actual original footage, 1080 enhanced, it is undeniable. It even looks more real and more fluid in its movements than the Jiffy I showed.
Well, you pointed out the right ear of the mouse brushing up against the side of it. It's just, I don't know, it's pretty obvious to me. Although the one thing I would point out is it does look a little cartoonish in the sense of like, the ears, kind of like Mickey Mouse ears. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe that's an actual type of rat. You mentioned the wharf rat. I'm no biologist, although that would be interesting to see if we could get anyone to like find the taxonomy or whatever it's called of it. But this is just a gold mine here.
What I know for a fact too, though, is that they're not shooting this thing live from outer space. If this thing, they're not. So this is all done in a production studio before it's broadcast as, quote, live. The rocket launch might be live, but when they cut to the outer space scene, that's pre-produced. So this looks like something that was inserted on the cutting room floor in advance. And so it's more likely to me that this is a cartoon mouse put into the footage. And this tells you one thing, it's not live. And two, that who knows? Like let's say tomorrow someone from SpaceX comes out and says, "Hey, I did it. It was a joke." All the people who defended it are going to look that much dumber.
Well, they can't. I mean, it's hard for them to look much dumber, but yeah, that would certainly, I guess, be one way to achieve that. But I just can't believe, I don't have any respect, and I don't think they have any credibility. These people who just explain away everything. I mean, how are we supposed to listen to them for any type of insights? I mean, they're just coming up with excuses. It harkens back, and I think it's great that we had this precedent. When you were talking and so-called debating, I don't know if it was technically a debate, with Red's rhetoric, and you brought up that the shadow of the ISS that came along through the footage, and he said it was a smudge. He's just coming up with an explanation for it, either rationalizing it to his own indoctrinated mind, or maybe something more nefarious. Maybe he's a bad actor and trying to help do his job, help the agencies he works for indirectly. But it's pretty amazing what we have here. I just remember
yes.
you going to the town hall talking about bubbles in space, and this just takes it to the whole next level.
Well, the next meeting, if I want to do another city council meeting, it's this next Monday, and I'm considering it. If people want me to do it, I might go down there and tell the city council that there's a clear case of animal abuse in the ISS, not with the test subject rats, but that there were rats on the outside of the rocket that did go into space and presumably they cooked. So I would bring that out on record, and I would bring this clip, or I would just say, look up CRS-19 mouse on rocket in outer space.
Right. Well, the Mick West response of it being a image compression issue, is that what he said?
He said it's a compression artifact.
That's just so ridiculous. Like, how are we supposed to listen to this guy? I mean, Tim Ostman was talking about how he believes he's legitimate or something, and he's actually going to try an experiment where he does a big explosion in the desert to see if a passport can come out unscathed. I mean, I have to give Tim Ostman some props here for, admitting what is so obvious to everyone who looks at this. But you're right. All it would take is for SpaceX to come out and say it was a joke. And but yeah, I'm looking at it right now. At the very last frame, you can see the eyes of the.
And
it's
look,
amazing.
I want to just continue to harp on this until somebody responds. I'm also kind of curious to see who's going to talk about it. Will Mark Sargent put out a video on this? If it's something that actually threatens the program, will any of the gatekeepers actually cover it? So, for example, will Deep Inside the Dearth, will he cover it? Will Jeranism cover this thing? Because this is bad enough and revealing enough to actually damn the whole program, and if they're gatekeepers, they probably won't touch it. I'm not sure who else has, but so far we've been on it since it came out.
Well, there's so much that tears down the legitimacy of their claims. I mean, just looking at what they claim as far as how they went to the moon and back with orbiting the Earth a couple times, slingshotting off into the orbit of the moon and then landing and then popping back off and orbiting the moon and slingshotting back to the Earth and then into the ocean. And it's all so preposterous. They must just be laughing that people will believe whatever they say. Maybe this is part of that. Maybe this is them, an inside Easter egg joke that they can point at and and say, look what we got away with. But it's definitely very fascinating. And I've just become to the point where I don't believe it. And, I'm not really inclined. I guess it is important to try to teach people about the deception, but it's nice when something like this falls in our laps and it's just so incredibly obvious. And, this meme is worth billions of dollars in terms of its power to red pill people.
And
so it's just a matter of how.
Year of the Rat. What do you think about that little connection?
Fascinating one. Definitely a fascinating one. And I think that we need to brainstorm and try to think of how to maximize the impact of this revelation here, of this piece of footage, be it, clamoring for a statement from SpaceX or bringing it to PETA or, all sorts of different things, taking it to biologists. You mentioned the pet shop. We really ought to be able to make something of this. I mean, we can see that the tail, the ears, the eyes, and even if it is CGI, which is a definite possibility, it just proves that they are messing with CGI, and that would be next to impossible on live footage. You know what I mean? We know that what you said earlier, there's no benefit of them actually doing this footage live. It's probably pre-produced, and it just it raises so many questions, and especially if you're still in the Matrix. But I'm just trying to brainstorm. There's got to be some way that we can, I don't know, maybe not put out a press release, but
hey, that's not a bad idea there. Interviews are good. This is why I reached out to Mick West. I figured I'm going to call SpaceX's PR. I'm going to call PETA.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let this thing go. I think if we keep making a big deal about a mouse, it's poetic, I think, in a way, that this billionaire, his whole operation, they're so, I think, arrogant that they played an inside joke like this. That's what I think. And so if we keep pushing, I would be going to city council if I have to. I'm willing to do it, just because we want to make this unignorable and make them come up with a bunch of ridiculous excuses for our amusement.
Right. We ought to spin up a website like with a really easy to transmit like URL to people where they go and they see this GIF and the videos, so we can call up like Congress people and okay, just go to issrat.com or something. I don't know. I think we have to get creative here and try to really make this viral, because
well, speaking of creative,
we need to invest the establishment.
Yeah, I was actually earlier today. I started a painting of this thing, which what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this to the best of my ability and then put it up for sale. But yeah, we need to keep this thing going out there, keep remixing it, putting it to videos, making memes about it. That's why I put the GIF here for everybody. But this is something that if we can force responses to, it'll get really polarizing. Because, I mean, look how it is when you have a lot of people who know what it is, and then we watch somebody try to lie. It's pretty fun, and it's very polarizing. And this could be something that just blows up out of control because they don't have any immediate damage control. You really can't.
Right.
What are you going to say it is?
There's no good answer to it. And they're already getting on the record with certain, I'm trying to think of the term, but Nick West is coming out and not even giving it like a probability chance, but he's saying it is because of compression issues. Like, how is that scientific? How is that being skeptical? I mean, that's just setting yourself up to be wrong. I mean, who talks like that in terms of uncertainties like that with something that it doesn't even come close to explaining? So I really do think that we should try to get this out there. And I think it's tax fraud. I think it's a fraud on the American people, because I know SpaceX is getting lots of tax money and debt money. And as is, I think, Tesla. It seems like Elon Musk is like one of the biggest welfare queens out there. So it's maybe we can send it to the Republican base in terms of like, look at, they're stealing our money. You know, Trump signed off on that $1.4 trillion appropriations bill for 2020 budget, and they're just laughing at us, it looks like. Or there's a mouse crawling on the set that they didn't notice.
Yeah.
Although, did you notice that they transferred, or they switched the shot, like right after this? Almost as if they were like, oh, shoot. It's kind of like that 9/11 clip where the plane pops out the other side of the building and they fade to black. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I see that. I think somebody suggested that we set up a site, maybe call it like, Elon Musk Rat or something like that, or something. But somewhere we can direct people. We put all of our best images of this, the best breakdowns. Like, one thing I'm going to do tonight is, if you zoom in on it as it is now and you turn it 90 degrees to the left, it makes a lot more sense. Like, if you turn your head to the right, you can actually perceive that the mouse is walking on a flat surface. It's a wide little alleyway he has there. And when you look at it from that angle, you can actually see even better where the eyes are situated. And then you can see where its legs are as they move, and the shadow. And then you get a little better glimpse of the tail. So yeah, this is one of the best pieces of footage we could possibly have to really cause. This is our WTC7.
Yes, exactly. And just looking at, you mentioned this earlier, the metal, just how hot it is there. We ought to be able to, get some heat temperatures that metal does that. And yeah, it does make more sense if it's vertical with that going down, which I guess is what it would be if it was actually flying into space. But you can see up at the top left that they're in the vacuum of space, or near vacuum conditions. And I don't really mean like the vacuum, but just no atmosphere. So it shouldn't be able to breathe and walk around, it being that hot and so little air. And then I just want to kind of note here that the foil over there is kind of just like, it has some movement, but it's not like extreme or anything. So it just seems really fake. If I had to guess, it's a green screen with fake background, and then a to scale model. But I don't know how they'd achieve the coloring of the metal unless it's just painted orange like that.
Well, look,
just trying to reverse engineer the shot.
Looking back at some of the older footage, we've seen things with the space shuttles that are way goofier than this. Like there's one where it's clearly a scale model, and you have an astronaut behind it, and they're saying, no, that's a reflection of somebody in a mirror. No, it's a huge...
Right, the guy's head is right there. You can see his bare face, just like looking like a doofus next to it.
Yeah, and that was years ago, and nothing came of it, right? The difference now is they're goofing up like they always do, but now you've got 150 people watching and listening and sharing it, saying, hey, look at this goofy stuff they're trying to pass off as real. So I just think that right now it's just the truth has a platform where before it did not. So they've always been this bad, and they've always been this arrogant.
Absolutely, and that's what kind of where I'm at this point. There's so many things like the car in space. What was that one? Spaceman or whatever. There's so many things that if you still believe in it, I guess they're not. I guess they're victims of brainwashing and mind control for the most part. But at this point, we have enough ammunition that we really ought to be able to wake up anyone. So it's up to us, I guess, to counter the immense resources used against the population. But it's great to see you pushing this hard. I wish you the best of luck getting this out there. I can help set up that website if we find a good domain. We ought to find one that like doesn't. I don't know. I don't really like the Elon Musk rat one, just because I don't know. I don't want it to sound trollish. I want it to like sound professional.
Yeah, you can't use his name in a domain. I think that would be an infringement, and it would be hard to compete. So no, we want something definitely, though. I think you're right about that. We do need a place to put this and make this a thing, make this particular glitch in the matrix its own little spin-off, because if we keep forcing the issue, they will address it, and their responses are going to be great, because I want someone who's a specialist in video editing to look at this thing. I bet we could find somebody on Fiverr right now and say, hey, will you look at the 43-minute mark on the CRS-19 launch from 12.5 and let me know how what this is? Can you analyze it from your professional opinion? Or maybe not even tell them the source. Just give them the clip and say, what is this? Is this compression? Could you repeat this? I mean, in other words, let's just get as many minds to look at this thing until we get the right answer.
Yeah, well, it's definitely... If we can't use this, then what are we doing? Trying to wake people up. If we can't use like a picture of a mouse crawling on this this rocket engine here when it's alive and supposed to be up in the middle of space, dropping stuff off of the isn't this going to the ISS, which is traveling 17,500 miles per hour?
Oh yeah.
Isn't that what they say?
Oh yeah, that mouse is going 15K.
It's so ridiculous. It's pretty funny. So I kind of think that they're joking, but even if they come out and say they were joking, it's a bad look for them, because it proves that they're not serious, proves that they're not, an objective scientific organization, and they're mixing in CGI with the launch. But I think it's a to scale model, or not to scale, but not the size they claim, and they got caught with a mouse running on it. But I could be wrong. But there's something here. So keep up the great work, IPS. I'll get off in case someone wants to come and explain this.
Cool.
But I wish them the best of luck doing that.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate the call, Tim Truth, and drop a link to your channel below. Have a great night. Happy New Year.
All right, you too.
Okay, phones are still open, 505-510-4226. So what we're talking about here is this mouse. What you're seeing on the screen right there isn't a mouse, according to one expert I consulted with. That is actually a video compression artifact. It only looks like a mouse. Marty Moose says, did anybody else see Elon's armored glass live demo getting the windows broken? Yeah, his indestructible car, that's basically a replica of something from the movie Blade Runner, which was created in the 80s, produced in the 80s, but it took place in Los Angeles, 2019. He releases this thing in 2019. Same month, I think it was November. But he brings out this indestructible vehicle. and they tap it and it just basically falls apart. Then he had that grain silo, which he called, I think he called it Starship, and it blew up. So he's been having a few little things here that made it look like are they trying to destroy your confidence in this guy? But honestly, I don't think that they meant for this to get out. The most likely explanation, according to Occam's razor, in my point of view, would be this was probably an insert. They did it on purpose. Why would they do it? As a joke. It'd be easy to do. Somebody did it as a joke, and I actually think that Elon's in on it, because if you look at the original footage, if you weren't looking, you wouldn't see it. Most people missed it. And this is zoomed in. This wasn't really meant to be seen. I really don't think so. Which kind of makes us insiders. Like, we know more about the inner workings of SpaceX and the people who work there and think it's real. I mean, what kind of dupes, would you have to be? I wonder if any SpaceX employees, is there any chance you could get one of them to see this? Or let's just look. Tim was saying we need to come up with some ways to get this thing out there. I would say share this video, share this meme, share this GIF with people you know who do video editing for a living. You don't even have to give them a context. Marty Moose says, inside joke or someone trolling Elon. Look, if I was certain that space was real and the space station was real, my first go-to would be inside joke. And Musk is also sending pot into space to the space station, you're right. Like, they might have this corporate culture where there's pranks and Elon's just being funny and eccentric and they go along with it. But this wasn't part of like a press release. It wasn't like they advertised it. This actually happened on the 5th, and the first time I think anybody pointed it out was probably a week and a half later. Jordan says, if it's not a rodent, what could it be? Yeah, people have just been saying it's either space ice or space aluminum foil congealing into the shape of a mouse at 15,000 miles per hour, which is remarkable. It really is. It'd be like driving through a snowstorm and the snow forms itself into a little snowman hood ornament. Like, that's remarkable. Why wouldn't they want to put this out in front and say, hey, look, not only did we send mice into space, but on that mission where we actually sent genetically modified mice into space, on that very mission, the space ice formed into a mouse on the engine. That's great, isn't it? Like, that is worth talking about. Astronomy Picture of the Day, NASA, they ought to publicize this and say, hey, look, talk about weird coincidences. What looks like a mouse, but is actually just ice and aluminum foil, appeared on the jet engine on the very trip that was carrying genetically modified mice to space. This is your weird news of, whatever. This is like a weird news story. This is a cool science story. Tell your kids, look, this is not only science-y, but it's also very eerie as far as coincidences go. Red's Rhetoric says, that's not a mouse, that's a smudge. Yeah, and that's not a YouTuber, that's a government agent. Sam Cam says, I've seen the original footage. There's something else that follows the same path. Well, what you're looking at with this path here is the inner rim of this thing. And what we've seen throughout this footage is it looks like more than one. And if you've ever seen multiple mice, like if a mice infestation, one of them comes down from the other side. He's not alone is what I'm saying. What I think is happening here, if it's not a cartoon, then it's more than likely a family of mice living in the engine who were roused when they started filming this little movie. Marty says Reds blew it when he made that smudge thing up on the spot. Mudflutter says we can spin this to have people think that there are robot mice everywhere watching us now. Well, that's the story behind the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The mice are all pan-dimensional hyper-intelligent beings that are actually our boss. And Elon Musk uses that movie and references to that movie all over his stuff. The Starman thing was Don't Panic, which is a reference to that movie, Escaping the Earth. Pippi says it's a penguin in disguise. Or it could be on a penguin's payroll, because it's definitely helping what we're doing here. The penguin agenda. Speak penguin or die. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. If you know what speak penguin or die means, put a hashtag SPOD in the chat or just copy and paste this one. Just want to know if everybody knows what it means by now. We're not threatening to kill people. And the penguins aren't going to come here and kill you. Speak penguin or die is just a message overall to the people who are suggesting that the Earth is not a globe. Your movement's going to die if it doesn't learn to speak penguin. That is, if it doesn't go deep, deep, deep south, Antarctica and beyond, it's going to die in a conference room. The conference Earthers. It's going to turn into a Bible study. How productive is that? Bible study? You have the key to tearing down the major deceptions of your time, and you're going to go read about Noah's Ark and take it seriously. Literally. Jose Martinez says, Elon Musk, next call is going to be Orkin. Yeah, I did a meme based off that, because like I said, someone had said to me that this is a compression artifact. I'm like, okay, I get it. If that's a compression artifact, and we have a few other ones. Let's go through a couple of these memes here. That one's not relevant, so we're not going to look at this one. I think that's Ronnie and Johnny Laffenberg, two friends of the show. But no, this is what I was looking at. The best way to prevent video compression artifacts is with the year-round pest control plan. Mick West. Now, he didn't say that specifically, but pretty much. He said, it's a video compression artifact. Okay, well, by that logic, if that mouse is a video compression artifact, then these are video compression artifacts. And if you want to prevent infestations of video compression artifacts, you got to call the Orkin man and have a year-round plan. Don't even let them breed. Yeah, Marty Moose, it does. Marty Moose says, it reminds me of those toys that look like a mouse attached to a ball that roll around the motor inside. Exactly. It does. That's exactly what it looks like. And look, I cleaned out sheds. I've cleaned out old places where there have been mice inside. We had a big issue here with hantavirus, and I was doing biohazardous cleanup as a side gig, and I cleaned out some cabins. And in the basement of this cabin, of this prepper, there was a whole lot of deer mice. And the deer mouse, it has very large ears. Very cute, but their droppings are essentially toxic. So I had to go into the crawl space and do a wet decontamination. Just basically 5-gallon buckets of water with bleach, super tropical bleach, and just flooded it and mopped. I mean, I had buckets and buckets of rat junk. Just, it was a mess. But yeah, space hantavirus. They could catch a virus in space from one of these things, like the plague. Anyway, I spent a lot of time looking at mice. I was never working as an exterminator. But however, one thing I did observe is they build nests in all kinds of things. And inside of a vehicle, in fact, I saw one, you started the vehicle and the mice would run out the bottom. So what this looks like to me is that if it's not a CGI mouse put by a prankster, a whole bunch of mice are living inside of this thing, and they cranked it on, and they're flushed out. Joseph Shumter said Tower 7 didn't kill himself. Wide Awake says it's Fievel, somewhere out there. Ron Shackleton, Space Rat. But look, let's put this in context, because we're talking about genetically modified mice sent into space on this very launch. That's the part of it that seals the deal for me, that this is in fact some type of a joke. And so I'm looking at the mice that they sent, and it doesn't look like one of these ones, does it? Scientists are sending mighty mice into space. Their strength is through genetic experimentation to prevent astronauts from losing muscle in microgravity. NASA sent 40 mice on the SpaceX Dragon launch in its Mighty Mice in Space experiment. Scientists hope that by blocking the action of myostatin within the mice and inducing muscle and bone growth, they can counter the effects of microgravity. Okay, so this launch happened December 5th. This was the 19th SpaceX commercial resupply service. They have this contract with NASA. So I don't know if this is one of the ones that they sent. This is a stock photo. But the one that we see doesn't look like the type of mouse that they would use in experiments. It does look very cartoony. It does look like a rat. Some said a wharf rat. The more I look at it, the more I think this was done by a CGI expert. And what is SpaceX if not a company that employs the best CGI experts money can buy? All Day says Mousetronaut 2020. I kind of want to adopt him. Can the IPS adopt him? Maybe we can call SpaceX and ask if we can. We saw that there was a stray rat. It got away. It's not one of the. Like, how many rats went up there? Do they have a head count? Are there 39 mice up in the ISS right now, or 40? Because this is an escapee. And having looked at the footage, there might even be a second escapee and possibly a third. I'll leave my phones open for a few more minutes here if anyone else has any commentary on it. If you have any kind of theories that could explain it, by all means, you're welcome to call in and share. Basically, I want to know, what do you think we're looking at here? And given that it was on a mission where they were sending mice up there anyway, to me it's even more likely that this is some type of if not a prank, maybe even malicious sabotage. Like, I can't really rule that out. I'm sorry if I just hit the mute button accidentally. I have to take a break now. Unless anybody has any final words here. This is Chief Crow and the Flat Earth Worms. Space is fake AF. I'll put a link below. And yeah, I do think that we're going to continue to hammer on this. We'll be in the Discord server memeing. So if you're a meme tech, we do want to draw attention to this. We want to take it apart, frame by frame. I do want to do a frame-by-frame analysis. I want to zoom in, and I want to determine if we can find out, is this more likely to be an animation of a mouse, or an actual mouse, maybe even an insert. Cam B says Andrew Yang link. Oh yeah, by all means, bring it. You know, it's movie magic everywhere, not just in outer space. The movie magic that they're using here is also used in politics. It's used in the celebrity drama. It's used in archaeology. It's used in all the sciences. Movie magic is pretty much part of how the oligarchs have figured out how to govern the masses. The television is there for brainwashing. Entertainment is a side effect. 777 says, is Chief Crow still making tunes? Oh yeah. In fact, we have Auto Hoax, or GTFO is his latest track. I'll put a link below. Happy New Year, everyone. This is Space is Fake AF. Chief Crow and the Flat Earth.
You can see the stars.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
we were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon.
It's not black and white. I mean, it's black, but there's all kinds of polka dots.
Space is fake AF. Space is fake AF.
There's more than stars. You can see planets. You can see moons.
you see the gas.
It don't matter. Say the sky was not the limit. You fly to the moon in another second, but we haven't been back since 1972. Destroyed all the papers and blew up the Challenger crew, except for the twinsies. Space is fake AF. Space is fake AF.
Look out into deep space away from the sun. It's the darkest black you can imagine.
Hey, space boy, you broke my rocket man heart. Where are the stars? Is it bright or is it dark? The vacuum of space, oh, the tomfoolery.
What happens if you get a leak on that? You have a leak.
Deep under my bubble.
It's hard to comprehend.
Space is fake AF.
Two little bitty O-rings.
Space is fake AF.
It's not what you think, homeboy.
Space is fake AF.
I'll just start doing this.
Space is fake AF.
Research Eddie Bravo. You just
The concept of auto-hoaxing or preemptively calling out things as fake, if they're not accompanied by evidence and their extraordinary claims, that's a philosophical approach. And it is in defense of reality. So if we're in a war here, and I think we are, which is between real versus fake, if you're auto-hoaxing, you would be defending